liberty-minded friends. I'm Patty Maloney and welcome to Patty for Liberty. I've been working really hard on my website over the last couple weeks, pattyforliberty.com. I have added some new blog posts and I made some updates to it, and I'd love for you to check that out. But I haven't made a video in a while, so I want to get one out, and I'm going to try to get more consistent with this. I'm still new to video editing, so I really appreciate you guys who leave me feedback. I'm trying some new things today, and I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. And if you like my channel, please hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to reach more libertarians and create better content as I go along, and I have some new stuff coming up for next week. So today I'm talking about something that I think we're all being affected by. I'm talking about the culture war. I've titled this, The Culture War, Making Racism and Homophobia Socially Acceptable Again. I hope you'll watch it to the end and let me know what you think. Many of us libertarians think that our country is moving in the wrong direction, that we're moving backwards when it comes to abortion, racism, homophobia, transphobia. We're moving backwards. And I think most of this started with Donald Trump's campaign to make America great again. This has fueled a lot of division in our country, and while I think we've always had a cultural divide between the progressives and liberals and the conservatives, and we've always had some tension and friction there, it's escalated, and now we have this all-out culture war. And if you listen to people on the right and the way they present it to you, and even friends of mine, these people are extremists. The liberal left is trying to turn all our kids into transgender, get their sex changed, and all this crazy talk, and they need to push back on it. And that's their side. And as someone watching from the outside and associating with younger adults, I don't think this is what's really going on. I think some of our older generation, and probably some of our younger folks too, do not like the fact that it's now socially acceptable to be gay, transgender, and lesbian. And they want to make it acceptable to be racist, homophobic, and transphobic again. And I'm going to call it like I see it. I don't think this is a culture war. I think this is a group of people that want to be able to be racist and discriminate again. And I'd really like to hear some feedback from libertarians. One of the things I was always proud of as a libertarian was that we were socially liberal and fiscally conservative. And now we don't want to have anything to do with the word liberal. And we're pushing back on much of the things that were important in the Libertarian Party. And that was protecting people's rights to live their life how they want to live their life. If you want to identify as a potted plant, I don't care. And it shouldn't be the government's or anyone's business. I happen to prefer identifying as a unicorn. But in general, I don't think most people care as much as the cultural warriors would lead you to believe. I think there are extremists in both camps, and this particular culture war is being led by really socially conservative people that don't like the change in the direction our country is moving in. If you're part of the culture war, or you've just been reading about it, you probably know that it's a battle going on between the woke and the anti-woke. And I'll admit, up until probably a year ago, I'd never heard the term woke, and I didn't know what it meant. So I wanted to know what the word woke actually meant and where it came from. So a lot of people think it means being awake to what's going on in the world, but it's actually something that's been used by Black culture for quite some time. The first person to use the word woke was African-American author William Melvin Kelly in 1962. He used it in his essay he titled, "If You're Woke, You Dig It. No Mickey Mouse can be expected to follow today's Negro idiom without a hip assist." And it was published in the New York Times. And it basically meant being aware to the social injustices and the oppression that Black people were facing. But it became more commonly used with the Black Lives Matter movement, who started using the hashtag Stay Woke to raise awareness of the brutality and killing of African Americans by our law enforcement. So that's kind of where the word was rooted and where it started, but it's kind of evolved since then. And now the term woke, according to the anti-woke people and conservatives who don't like the woke, it means essentially anyone who disagrees with them and calls them a racist, homophobe, or transphobic. And that's how they feel, that much of these woke progressives just think everyone is racist and homophobic and transphobic just because they disagree with them. And I believe that this is part of the reason why the Libertarian Party wanted to change our plank on racism. The Libertarian Party recently changed one of our planks on racism that read that we believe racism is irrational and repugnant. And I believe this mindset that anyone who disagrees with you thinks you're a racist is part of the reason for removing it. They felt that we needed to get rid of this identity politics from our platform. But I believe that social conservatives have brought the war on woke over to the Libertarian Party, and I believe COVID has a lot to do with it. What I noticed when COVID started was that the people that tended to lean more to the right took Donald Trump's opinion, and really a libertarian opinion, that it should be your right whether you want to wear a mask or not wear a mask, or get vaccinated or not get vaccinated. And that is a core principle within libertarianism, that you should be free to make choices with your own body, and the government shouldn't force you to do anything. However, a lot of us libertarians that did get vaccinated and wear a mask weren't that upset about getting the mask or vaccinated, but we felt it should be done voluntarily. And this big divide over COVID has brought a lot of anti-maskers and anti-vaxxers into the party, because we do support that. You should have the right to make your own decisions with your own body. But I also believe this brought social conservatives into our party that may not understand the full principles of libertarianism, which means that people get to live their lives however they want, and that includes being gay or transgender or lesbian. One of the things I've been hearing a lot is that the LGBTQ community is going too far. They're not just trying to make it acceptable to be lesbian, gay, or transgender. They're trying to groom our kids, and they're trying to recruit them into the LGBT community. I made another video about transgender kids if you want to hear my thoughts on that, but they're purposely and choicefully using the word grooming, which implies that the person is a pedophile trying to prepare someone for being molested or sexually abused. And the fact is that most of the LGBTQ community that I know, what they're trying to do is make these kids feel more comfortable in their own skin, feel safe at school, and get other kids to understand that some children are gay, lesbian, or transgender. They're not grooming, but rather normalizing. So I realize my opinions might not be popular with everyone, but that's also one of the reasons why I wanted to make this. Even in my immediate circle of libertarians and liberty-minded friends, I'm hearing this, that the LGBT community is taking things too far, that even within the community they're saying they're going too far. And I'm not involved enough in the community. I'm not gay, lesbian, or transgender, so I don't know what's going on in the community. But what I do know is that I know a lot of younger adults and teenagers, and I have teenagers and young adults of my own, and they don't have the same views as a lot of the older folks. They don't care what people do. They're more accepting and tolerant of people. I think the bigger issue right now isn't the culture war or parents' rights, it is our public school system. I was a homeschool parent for many years. I homeschooled my son until he was 14, and he's one of the brightest kids I have. I homeschooled up until the state of Michigan decided that I was neglecting my children by homeschooling them. So I'm pretty strongly advocate for homeschool rights and choice in education. And I think that is the bigger issue in our country, is that we have a one-size-fits-all education system that's not working. When you have a whole lot of parents wanting all their kids educated in one school system with one curriculum, one option, you're going to have problems. It's the same reason why some schools, the parents were outraged because their kids had to wear masks, and in other parts, parents were outraged because their kids weren't wearing masks. Having a better school system and changing how we educate our children would eliminate half of these cultural issues, because parents could choose whether they wanted to send their kid to a school that exposes them to critical race theory or diversity education. Then they could choose. And I think that is a libertarian solution. And I also think for all the parents who think that they should have the right to provide for their kids' medical care and treatment without the government interfering, they're kind of being hypocritical when they say a parent can't choose gender-affirming care. Either parents get to have the rights to take care of their children's medical choices, or they don't. And that's how I feel. Even if I don't agree with it, I don't think you can have it both ways. So these are my thoughts on the culture war, which really seems to me to be more of a war on being able to say racist things and homophobic things, and make being racist and homophobic, transphobic socially acceptable again. But I'd really like to hear your thoughts, and I'm an open-minded person. I love the comments, and I'd like your feedback on my videos and how I'm doing. I will be back next week. I'm going to get more consistent with this and make more videos, and I really appreciate your support by, clicking the like button, leaving me a comment, or subscribing to my channel. I will see you guys next week. Thanks for listening and hearing my point of view.